She had deleted his number 4 times, 4 different nights, 4 different moments of absolute clarity where she looked at her phone, felt the weight of everything that had happened, and made the decision, "This is it. I am done. Delete." And 4 different times, sometimes within hours, sometimes within days, she found herself searching his name on social media, driving past his apartment, reaching for her phone at 2 a.m. to type a message she would spend the next 3 days trying to unsend. She was not weak. She had a graduate degree, a job she was good at, friends who loved her. She had read every article about narcissistic abuse. She could explain the trauma bond, the intermittent reinforcement, the love bombing cycle with the kind of clinical precision that impressed her therapist. She understood everything, and she still could not stay away. If that story sounds familiar, if you recognized yourself somewhere in it, I need you to hear something before we go any further. The reason no contact is so devastatingly hard to maintain has nothing to do with your intelligence, nothing to do with your strength, nothing to do with how much you understand about what happened to you. It is hard because your brain was neurologically set up to fail at it by the very relationship you were trying to escape. And today we are going to talk about not just why it is hard, but exactly what actually makes it stick. Not the surface level advice, not the generic "you just have to be strong" version. The specific, honest, psychologically grounded reality of what going no contact actually requires, and what actually works when everything in your nervous system is screaming to break it. This is part 9 of the Narcissist Series, and if you have been with me since part 1, or if you are finding this video because you were in the middle of trying to do exactly this right now, I want you to know that this is the video the entire series has been building toward. If this content has been part of your journey, subscribe right now so you do not miss what comes after this. Because where we go from here is the part most people never reach. Number 1. Understanding why your brain is wired to break no contact. Sarah, not her real name, came to understand something about herself during the 3rd week of no contact that changed everything for her. She was sitting in her car outside a grocery store. She had been sitting there for 45 minutes, not because she forgot what she needed, because her ex had texted her 3 words, just 3 words, and those 3 words had produced a physical response in her body that she described later as feeling like someone had grabbed her nervous system and shaken it. The 3 words were "just checking in." That's it. No apology, no acknowledgement, no indication of any change. Just 3 words that meant absolutely nothing on their surface. And her body had responded as if someone had offered water to a person who had been in the desert for 3 weeks. Here is what was actually happening in Sarah's brain in that parking lot, and here is what is happening in your brain every time you get close to breaking no contact. The relationship with a narcissist creates what neuroscientists call a dysregulated attachment bond. During the relationship, the cycles of love bombing, devaluation, withdrawal, and return trained your brain to associate relief with their presence and distress with their absence. Your dopamine system learned to spike in response to their attention. Your cortisol system learned to spike in their absence. And that pairing, dopamine when they are there, cortisol when they are gone, is neurologically indistinguishable from addiction. No cap, this is not a metaphor, bro. A 2017 study from Stony Brook University using fMRI imaging found that romantic rejection activates the same neural circuits as cocaine withdrawal, the same regions, the same intensity, the same desperate biological drive to resolve the deprivation. Which means when you reach for your phone during no contact, when you drive past their apartment or find yourself searching their social media or composing a message you will never send, you are not making a weak decision. You are experiencing a withdrawal response, a neurological event. your brain doing exactly what it was conditioned to do. Understanding this does not make no contact easy, but it changes what you do with the urge when it comes. Instead of fighting it like a moral failure, instead of adding shame to an already overwhelming experience, you can recognize it for exactly what it is, a withdrawal symptom, evidence that the conditioning was real, and evidence that the conditioning can be unconditioned. Sarah sat in that parking lot for 45 minutes. She did not respond to the text, she did not delete it, she just sat with the urge. And she described that 45 minutes as the hardest thing she had ever done in her life. She did not respond, and the next time the urge came, it lasted 30 minutes, then 20, then 10. The urge does not disappear immediately, but it does diminish. Every time you sit with it instead of acting on it, you weaken the neural pathway just a little. You are literally rewiring your brain one resisted urge at a time. Drop this in the comments right now. I understand why this is hard, and I am doing it anyway. And if this is landing, if this is giving you a framework for something you have been living through, hit that like button right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it helps this reach someone who needs it as much as you do. Number 2, the Hoovering playbook and why it works every single time. Marcus had been doing really well. 6 weeks of no contact. He had blocked his ex on everything: phone, social media, email. He had told his friends not to mention her name. He had started going to the gym. He had started sleeping through the night again. He had started to remember what it felt like to exist in a body that was not constantly braced for impact. And then her sister called him, not her sister, expressing concern, saying that his ex was really struggling, that she had not been eating, that she kept asking about him, that she just wanted to know he was okay. Marcus was back in contact within 48 hours. 6 weeks, gone. And here's what I need you to understand about what happened to Marcus. Because it was not a weakness, and it was not stupidity, and it was not even really about the sister. What happened to Marcus is one of the most documented and predictable patterns in narcissistic relationship dynamics. Psychologists call it hoovering, named after the vacuum brand, because it is designed to suck you back in. And the reason hoovering works so consistently, the reason it has worked on you, if you are being honest, is because it never comes through the front door. It never comes as a direct request. It comes as a story, as information, as a mutual friend reaching out, as a coincidental run-in at a place they knew you would be, as a social media post clearly designed for your eye, but they know it will get back to you, as a text that says, "Just checking in," or "I had a dream about you," or "I just wanted you to know I am thinking about you." Each of these is engineered to do one specific thing: to create just enough hope that resolution is possible to override the part of you that knows better. Real talk, the most important thing you can understand about hoovering is that it is not evidence that they have changed. There is no evidence that the relationship could be different this time. It is evidence that you went no contact long enough that they lost access to their supply and they want it back. Not because they miss you as a person, because they miss what having you available provided for them. A 2019 study from the Journal of Personality Disorders found that narcissistic individuals initiate contact with former partners significantly more frequently than non-narcissistic individuals, and that this contact was almost universally associated with periods where the narcissist was experiencing reduced supply from other sources. You were not thought of because you are irreplaceable. You were thought of because you were available last time. The story Marcus heard about his ex not eating, he never verified it. He did not need to. The story did not need to be true to be effective. It just needed to be plausible enough to activate his empathy. And empathy, the same quality that made him a good partner, a good friend, a good human being, was the exact lever being pulled. Here is what Marcus did that told me changed everything for him the second time he tried no contact. He made a list. Not a list of reasons to leave, not a list of bad things that had happened, a list of what hoovering looks like in my specific situation. He wrote down every method that had been used to pull him back in. The sister calls, the vague social media post, the mutual friend who always seemed to pop up with information, the text on his birthday, the email 2 months later that started with, "I just wanted you to know." He wrote them all down. And then he wrote one sentence at the bottom. "When I see any of these, I am not being reached out to because I matter. I am being reached out to because I left." That list lived on his phone, and every time the urge to respond hit, he opened the list first. Drop this in the comments. Hoovering is not love reaching out. It is control trying to return. Number 3. What to do with your hands during no contact. Here is a story that sounds less dramatic than the others, but is actually the most practically important one in this entire video. Jade had been in no contact for 2 weeks when she realized the problem was not the big moments. She had prepared for the big moments, the anniversaries, the holidays, the days she knew would be hard. She had plans for those days, people she was going to call, places she was going to be. The problem was on Tuesday at 3 p.m. The problem was the ordinary, unremarkable, completely mundane moments when there was nothing to distract her and her hands reached for her phone before her brain had any say in it. The habit of reaching out to him was so deeply established, they had talked every day for 2 years, that her fingers knew the motion before she had made any conscious decision. This is what nobody tells you about no contact. It is not just an emotional challenge, it's a habit challenge. And habits, as neuroscientists have documented extensively, live in a specific part of the brain called the basal ganglia, which operates largely below conscious awareness. You do not decide to reach for your phone. The habit reaches for the phone and you find yourself holding it. A 2012 study from Duke University found that habits account for approximately 45% of all human behavior in any given day, not choices. Nearly half of what you do on any given day is not consciously chosen. It is automatic, running on the same neural programming it ran on yesterday. Which means breaking no contact is not just about making a different decision, it's about interrupting a behavioral loop that has been running so automatically for so long that it operates below the decision-making entirely. Jade solved this with what she called replacement architecture. She didn't try to stop the reaching, she redirected where the reaching went. Every time her hand moved toward her phone with the old impulse, she had a specific, predetermined alternative already loaded and ready. A voice memo app where she recorded what she would have said to him, a notes document where she wrote it instead, a text thread with her best friend that she sent instead of him. She wasn't stopping the urge, she was rerouting the behavior. And within 3 weeks, the new pathway was strong enough that the old one started to feel genuinely unfamiliar. This is how habits actually change, bro. Not through willpower applied against the habit, through replacement architecture that gives the habit a new destination. Drop this in the comments. I am not fighting the urge, I am rerouting it. Number 4. The identity question nobody asks before going no contact. Before Daniel went no contact the final time, the time it actually stuck, he did something unusual that he credits entirely for why it worked when nothing else had. He sat down with a blank piece of paper and wrote one question at the top. Who am I without this relationship? Not who I was before it, not who do I want to be, but who am I right now, today, without it? And he sat there for a long time, and the answer that came back was nothing, but it was close to nothing. The relationship had become so central to his daily experience, even a relationship that was causing him active damage, that its removal left something that felt dangerously close to an identity vacuum. And here is the thing about identity vacuums that no one talks about in the context of no contact. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the human psyche. When you remove something central to your sense of self, even something harmful, your psychological system creates enormous pressure to fill the void, often with the same thing that was just removed, because at least that thing is familiar. This is why so many people break no contact not in moments of overwhelming love or even overwhelming loneliness, but in moments of overwhelming blankness, of not knowing what to do with themselves. The relationship has been so consuming that its absence reveals a self that feels unfamiliar and underformed. Psychologists call this enmeshed identity loss, and research from the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found that the strength of identity enmeshment in a relationship is one of the most reliable predictors of no-contact failure, more reliable than love, more reliable than loneliness, and more reliable than the specific behaviors of the narcissist during the hoovering phase. What Daniel did that made the difference was that he did not try to answer the identity question alone. He started doing things that generated self-knowledge, not reading about who he should be, actually doing things and noticing who he was during them. He started hiking, something he had stopped doing during the relationship because she had no interest in it. He started cooking elaborate meals on Sunday afternoons because he realized in the first week of no contact that he genuinely loved cooking and had completely forgotten that fact. He started calling his brother every Thursday evening because his brother was the person who knew him best before the relationship and whose image of him was untouched by the narcissistic narrative. He was not finding himself, he was remembering himself, one small self-revealing moment at a time. And here is what happened neurologically during that process. Each of those self-revealing moments fired his default mode network, the neural architecture of self-knowledge. Each one added a small increment to the sense of self that had been eroded during the relationship. And as that sense of self grew stronger, as Daniel became more real to himself, the void that had made breaking no contact feel necessary gradually filled with something that belonged to him. The relationship stopped feeling like the only thing standing between him and emptiness because he was no longer empty. Drop this in the comments. I am not empty without them. I am becoming full of myself again. And real quick, this next point is the one that I think matters most practically, the one that will make or break your no contact if you do not have it in place before you need it. Stay with me. Number 5. The support architecture that actually holds. Here is the story that humbles me every time I tell it. There was a woman, I will call her Nina, who had done everything right. She had read everything. She understood the trauma bond. She had a therapist. She had blocked him on everything. She had told her friends she was going no contact and asked for their support. And 3 months in, she broke it. Not because she wanted to, because it was a Sunday evening and she was alone in her apartment. The silence felt unbearable, and there was not a single person she felt she could call at that moment without feeling like a burden. She broke no contact because she did not have a specific person designated for exactly that moment. Not a general support system, a specific protocol, a person whose number she could call at 8 p.m. on Sunday, who had explicitly said, not implicitly, not generally, but explicitly, call me when the urge hits, anytime, I mean it. Nina did not have that person, and so in the moment when she needed the alternative most urgently, the alternative was not available with the immediacy she needed, and the phone in her hand had his number in it. This is the most underrated element of successful no contact. Not the blocking, not the therapy, not the understanding, the specific, named, prearranged, and explicitly consented support architecture that is available at exactly that moment. Not the next day, not at the scheduled therapy appointment, but on Tuesday at 3 p.m. when your hands are already moving. Who is that person for you? Not who could be that person. Who specifically has said, yes, call me, I mean it, anytime. If you do not have an answer to that question, that's your first task. Not the blocking, not the journaling, that. Drop this in the comments. I am building a support system that is ready before I need it. Number 6. What to do when you break it. Because you might, and I need to tell you that before we go any further. Tom had been no contact for 4 months when it happened. It was not dramatic. He did not drive to her apartment. He did not make a phone call that lasted hours. He sent one text, 6 words. Saw something that reminded me of you. And then he spent the next 72 hours in a shame spiral so complete that it almost convinced him to abandon no contact entirely. What is the point, he told himself. I always end up back here. I am never going to actually do this. I am too weak for this. He almost called her, not because he wanted to restart the relationship, but because the shame of having broken the no-contact rule felt like confirmation of a story about himself that the relationship had spent years installing, that he was not capable of doing hard things, that he always failed in the end. And here is the truth about Tom's situation that I want you to hear as clearly as possible. The 6-word text was not the problem. The shame spiral was the problem. Because shame, specifically the kind of shame that tells you a single setback is evidence of permanent personal failure, is one of the most reliable predictors of continued relapse in any recovery process. Not the relapse itself, the story you tell about the relapse. Research from Brené Brown's work at the University of Houston found that shame, unlike guilt, does not motivate behavioral change. Guilt says, I did something bad and I can do better. Shame says, I am bad and this confirms it. Guilt is productive, shame is paralyzing. And in the context of no-contact recovery, shame about breaking it is almost always more damaging than the break itself. What Tom needed, and what you need if you break no contact, is not more self-punishment. It is a return to the framework without a story attached to the interruption. You broke no contact. That happened. It is a data point. It tells you something about what conditions made you most vulnerable. What time of day, what emotional state, what trigger, what was missing from your support architecture in that moment. That information is useful. The shame is not. Here is the protocol that actually works for returning to no contact after a break. And this is specific enough that I want you to screenshot this or write it down. First, do not respond further. Whatever happened, stop there. Do not continue the contact thinking that since you already broke it, you might as well see where it goes. Stop exactly where you are. Second, do not delete what happened. Do not pretend it did not occur. Write it down. What happened? What triggered it? What was missing from your support system in that moment? Not to punish yourself, to understand the vulnerability so you can address it. Third, contact your support person, not to confess and be absolved, to say, it happened, and here is what I'm going to do differently, out loud, to another human being. Because saying it out loud to someone who genuinely supports you converts a private shame into a shared accountability. And shared accountability is dramatically more powerful than private willpower. Fourth, return to no contact immediately, not after you have punished yourself sufficiently, not after you have processed it completely. Now, block again, remove access again, return to the structure now. And fifth, and this is the one most people skip, give yourself the same response you would give a close friend who told you this had happened to them. Not the shame response, the compassion response. Of course it happened. This is one of the hardest things a human nervous system can be asked to do. What can I do to support you from here? Response. Tom eventually made it, not because he never broke it again. He broke it 2 more times over the following 4 months, but because he changed how he related to the breaks when they happened. They became information rather than verdicts. And because they were information rather than verdicts, each one made his no contact more intelligent rather than more shameful. The last time he broke it, the 3rd time, he noticed something. The contact he initiated was briefer. The return to no contact was faster. The shame was smaller. The recovery was quicker. The neural pathway of returning to himself was getting stronger each time he walked it, even when he had to walk it from a setback. That is what sustained no contact actually looks like in real life, bro. Not a clear, uninterrupted line from contact to freedom, a gradually strengthening commitment that gets more robust with each iteration, including the iterations that look like failure from the outside, but are actually just part of the process from the inside. Drop this in the comments. A slip is not a failure. It is information, and I am using every piece of it. Now, here is where we are. You understand why no contact is neurologically hard. You understand the Hoovering playbook and why it works. You understand the habit architecture and how to reroute rather than resist. You understand the identity question that nobody asks before they start. You understand the specific support architecture that actually holds. And you understand what to do when you slip, because you might, and that's allowed, and it doesn't mean what the shame tries to tell you it means. The last thing I want to leave you with today is the most important, and it is not a strategy, it is a truth. No contact is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a different one. The relationship you are putting distance between yourself and, the patterns, the conditioning, the installed voice, the rewired threat system, those things do not resolve automatically the moment contact stops. They are the work that comes after, the real work, the long, non-linear, genuinely transformative work of returning to yourself. And that work is worth doing. Not because it will be quick, not because it will be clean, but because the person you are returning to, the one who existed before the relationship asked them to become smaller, quieter, less certain of their own perception, that person has been waiting, and they are worth the wait. Leave one comment today. Not what you learned, not what resonated, just this. One word that describes who you were before the relationship. One word, put it in the comments, and let it be the first step of remembering. Because that word, that person, is still there, and today is as good a day as any to start walking back toward them.